why am I having my head and hat down like this, Scott? Because I want to. Well, what do you think?
I don't know, but something must be freaking you out.
It's bad omens. I need to wear a shamrock to ward off the evilness of what I'm about to watch here. It's also to cover the 666 that's on the top of my head, but we don't need to tell anybody.
Well, everybody's got one of those.
You don't have to be afraid.
Welcome back, everybody. Max, Tim, Scott, Marcus. This is the Fantastic Short Story Society podcast where we review trailers in the moment. We watch trailers that we have not yet watched, and we comment on what we think. It's pretty simple, but we want to know what you think too. But Scott, what are we watching today?
We are going to see the return of a horror franchise that was kind of legendary for a while. And I don't know, maybe even a little bit before my time. So I'm kind of curious how the Omen coming back into theaters, will it find a new audience? Will it start a new franchise rebirth?
One of the creepiest movies I've seen.
Is it?
Oh my God, Scott Marcus, you haven't seen The Omen?
I saw The Omen, I think when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
I quite honestly don't remember it that clearly.
It's worth rewatching. I don't know if it necessarily holds up like from a current type of feel, but it is creepy. It was maybe a few years ago that I watched it again, and I didn't really want to watch all of it. It just has this underlying tone of constant dread because this kid he's just this boiling pot that is ready to explode. Like the way they build the tension for this kid that is apparently possessed. So I'll be interested to see what they do with this trailer. But you and Wendy should absolutely watch it.
Yeah, and I think I'll have to make a point of it. Maybe a little movie marathon leading up to the release date of this one.
Okay. I don't know how many Omens there were. I know there were a few after.
Yeah, I think at least 3. Let's find this out right now.
You guys should absolutely watch this movie. This is going to be the 5th in line from the first. The first one, called The Omen, was 1976. Damien Omen 2, 1978. We weren't even born by then. Omen 3, The Final Conflict, 1981.
Not so final.
Not so final. Yeah. Omen 4, The Awakening. That was in 1991, and it's been since then, since The Omen has been out. So now we have the first Omens. We're apparently going all the way back, even before Damien. So this series. Damien is the.
Apparently, in 2006, though, there was also The Omen, which came out on 666. So they really planned ahead for that one. 6606. I don't know if that one was it's a remake of the 1976 series. So there we go.
Okay.
So you're right. This is the 5th one in line from that original.
Right. So for those of you who like scary, just put it lightly, devil movies, because it is very much that. Maybe you'll enjoy this. Scott and I are always a little bit intrigued by these types of movies. That's why I was surprised that Scott hasn't seen The Omen, at least for a long time, because it is kind of in that vein. It isn't necessarily ghost story. It's demon possession, exorcist kind of thing. I mean, this was pretty much during the time when it first came out, when The Exorcist was just, it was just everything.
Yeah.
And The Omen did a pretty good job. It was pretty good.
And I see Richard Donner directed that. So, if you can handle Superman and Damien, he's got some range as a director there.
Yeah, seriously. Let's just watch the trailer and then we'll see how it goes.
Right.
We need to give the little rundown. So hold on.
Lay it on me.
So the premise: a young American woman is sent to Rome to begin a life of service to the church, but encounters a darkness that causes her to question her faith and uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that hopes to bring about the birth of evil incarnate. So this is, I'm assuming, what do you call that?
A prequel?
The prequel to how Damien came about. I'm assuming. I don't know. Arkasha Stevenson's the director. David S. Goyer is one of the producers. Pretty solid names here attached. I do not know who Nell Tiger Free is, who is one of the leads. But however, Bill Nye is in this movie. And anything Bill Nye is in, I'm a fan.
You don't have to be afraid.
It's optional.
God has great plans for you. This child is his way.
There's this girl at the orphanage. I think that she really needs someone to look out for her.
Carlito.
suffers from a touch of madness.
You must be very careful, Margaret.
What a voice on that guy.
Yeah.
Bad things will start to happen around her. Evil things.
Oh boy.
Oh dear.
It's all.
He's going
No,
down.
no, don't.
Yikes.
What does any of this have to do with Carlita?
This church has maintained power for thousands of years. Lady will stop at nothing to keep it that way. How do you control people who no longer believe? You create something to fear. I believe the girl is to be the mother.
Mother of what?
Oh, that.
It's the mark of the devil.
It's not real. 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 What's not real? Who said that?
Ooh, that was good.
This is very real.
Wow.
That was a really cool trailer. It's gosh, I have so many thoughts. Just the idea of what the guy was saying, that when the church needs to have power, and so they'll create something to fear.
Yeah.
So does that mean the church created this on purpose, or it's a happenstance? I don't know. That's interesting.
That's a good point. It's more of a conspiracy movie at that point.
Right. Yeah.
And embolden evil
Right.
for their own. So who's the most evil at that point?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
There wasn't necessarily a pursuit presented like what we did last episode with Dev Patel in Monkey Man. He was pursuing, vengeance, that was easy to latch onto. I'm not exactly sure what the young nun is trying to do, other than I think Carlita needs help. Maybe for this type of movie, because of just the style and the tone, and it's supposed to be scary, we don't necessarily need the real pursuit there, because the other elements of just scare factors is enough to draw people to watch. But I don't know. I'd kind of like to know what she's trying to do.
Yeah, I would love to see a little bit more of that too. But also, how difficult is it to do a prequel where you're not going to stop the Antichrist from being born?
Yeah.
Because we have all these movies that we know come after this.
Yeah.
So that's difficult.
Right. Unless there's a twist.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there was already a twist that it was about starting from the birth of the mother that would become the mother of the Antichrist, I guess.
Which it does kind of seem like, because this seems like a much older time frame than the 1970s.
Yeah.
Which I think in the Omen, it was technically quote unquote current day, I think, anyway. So yeah, you got to wonder then, what's the line that starts and makes its way to Damien? I don't know, maybe we're getting too much into the lore. I think the cool thing is that it makes us think, and it makes us wonder, what's the story? And that is something that marketers want you to do. Like, oh, I'm interested enough to see and watch this.
Yeah. And, we were talking earlier about just there's so many horror movies coming out in the first half of this year.
Yeah.
And this is some, I think, really good counter programming to Monkey Man, which is coming out the same weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That's that crazy over the top action. This feels like it's going to be a quieter, creepier, slower burn. I mean, it's still mainstream. It's not like it's an Ari Aster film or something like that, but still It does feel like a whole different tone than for people that don't want to go out and see Monkey Man. This is that counter programming. Yeah.
And I mean, traditionally in just historical, release schedules, you do see some of the more genre specific, smaller budget movies coming out in the spring prior to the summer releases, because the summer releases are those big, huge movies. Mm-hmm. That's why Scott and I were surprised when we reviewed the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire trailer. It's coming out in March, not even waiting till April. So that was interesting. They're trying to get a jump on the big releases, but so I think that might be one reason why there are so many horror movies that are being presented right now. Everybody, we promise we're going to go to some lighter fare, but there are just so many to review. And come on, the first Omen, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we've seen and heard so much in the last several years that comedy just doesn't play in theaters anymore. So much of comedy is in the streamers, which is a bummer, because I love going to see a Judd Apatow movie in theaters.
Yeah, and laughing with a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah. Romantic comedies, they do fairly well because there's always going to be a need for a date night movie. That's why Anyone But You did really well. It had very long legs for a film, but we just don't see any more on the horizon yet. But hopefully soon we'll see another one. But yeah, right now it's kind of dark. A lot of the fare that's coming out.
Well, the world right now is kind of dark. Not that we need to go into, socio-political commentary or anything.
We are actually going to not cover the film Civil War that's coming out in the next couple of weeks.
If you talk about a scary movie, first Omen. I mean, the Civil War looks like it could be horrifying to watch.
Right.
Yeah, we're not going to cover the Civil War. But we want to know what you think. As always, put some comments in there. Would you watch this movie? I'd be interested to see if this is like, if you thought, ooh, this does look kind of interesting, but I don't like horror movies. What drew you in? Whatever you want to say, comment down there and let us know. We want to find out.
Yeah.
Any last words, Scott?
Well, I just last rites maybe. To acknowledge that the director of this also directed an episode of Brand New Cherry Flavor, and the writers of this wrote on Brand New Cherry Flavor, which was an awesome, creepy Catherine Keener Netflix series that I loved. It was. I know some people got grossed out. There's too much that kind of stuff, gore, gooiness in there, but. And I'm not a slasher fan at all, but I love that series. So just knowing that team is doing this one, I'm in. I'll go see this in theater.
Nice, cool. All right, everybody, let us know. Click that little subscribe button. I know it's a cliche at this point, but just do it for us because I'm begging you.